Okay. Super. All right. Well, good morning or good evening, depending on where this happens to find you. My name is Jill Apperson, and I am the founder of Jabu Mind, which is an app, a mindfulness app for teachers. And one of the projects we have is showcasing amazing teachers and humans around the globe. And I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Blacknote today. And I've been a fan of yours, and thank goodness for Facebook. That was like, I think there's pros and cons to it, but definitely one of the things I think I post that every now and then. I'm like, oh, this is a plus, is to be able to read your poems. But then when I saw that you had done them live, I was like, maybe we can do something about this, to be able to do a Zoom and get you up here. So I'm super thrilled. If I can just read a quick introduction, and then we can maybe have some performance poetry, if that sounds okay.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So I know there are probably people here on our Zoom that know you, but just in case, I want to, for the people that are going to be getting to know you, let's give them a little bit of your background. So Blacknote, poet and drama teacher from Nkambani in Eswatini. Blacknote is a multidisciplinary artist with a flair for illuminating emotions through the spoken word. She studied drama at TUT, and it was during her studies there that she realized her love for performance poetry. After graduating, she came back to Eswatini, where she began her journey as a performance poet and drama teacher. This is her third anthology of poems, followed by one full spoken word album. And I hope you'll tell us a little bit more about that too.
Yes.
She has taught speech and drama at Eswatini since 2007 to the present, and continues to write and perform poetry. I love the titles of all your books. River in My Soul is her first book, and she exposes culture and images of growing up in Eswatini. She describes her encounters with people, love, God, loss, dreams, and peace. Her poetry is satiric and takes the reader through a journey of self-discovery and self-worth in a changing society and acceptance. And I just have to so agree with that. It sure resonates with me. Her second book, Mountains of Sentiments, again, incredible title, was published in 2013. She writes simple and easy to read poetry that takes a long story and turns it into a rhythmic piece of information. Matters of the heart are also tackled in her poetry. So lovely, Love Me Like I'm Yours has taken 8 years to compile this collection of poems. To give the reader a glimpse of her present state of mind, the poet has included her childhood memories in this book. Love Me Like I'm Yours explores relationships between parents and children, siblings, friends, and lovers. Most of her poems are written in the first person, as she is comfortable with this style of writing. So welcome, everyone. And if you can just mute yourself, that would be great. And then we'll have questions and answers at the end, and then everyone can unmute themselves. And we have the chat going on in the right corner. At the bottom, you can open the chat and put in any questions if you like. And on the bottom left is that mute button. And I think I'm gonna hand it over. We have some, really the first question I have is, how has your poetry changed over the years?
Okay, yes, thank you so much, Jill. I think the one distinct thing I can think of right now is that when I started writing, everything, my work was very personal. So everything was about me and expressing myself and my emotions. And then that was particularly leading up to the first book, which is um, River in My Soul. And then I went into Mountains of Sentiments. At that point, my perspective on life and on human beings and our interaction began to change. And I realized certain things that I thought were true, thought to be true before then, had changed. And I was exposed more to older people in my life, both at work and on a personal level. And so those stories sort of shaped up and changed many things that I had, I thought I knew before. And something, so, a good example of that, Jill, would be, so when I was growing up, I used to take gymnastic classes. So I used to go there every Saturday morning rather. So in order to get to my gymnastics classes, because they used to happen at Bosco Skill Center, I'd have to walk across a field of one of the high schools in Eswatini. I was about 9, 10 years old at the time. So as I was walking across the field, there was a woman it was raining on that day. And so before I went there, my dad, Baba, said, no, don't go because it's raining. But obviously I was very stubborn, still am today. So I went to my gymnastics class. There was no way I was going to hold that off. I'd been looking forward to it all week. So as I walked across the field, right there in the middle, there was a woman who was being kicked and punched by two men. As they were kicking and punching her, the things that they were saying made me realize that they had basically caught her cheating on them. So they found out that she was dating both of them. And according to them, violently punishing her was the way to go. I remember that moment, Jill, I just stood there in the rain and I watched all this happen. I didn't know if I should run to tell my coach what was happening because I was halfway there, or to run back home and tell my dad what was happening. And that for me, Jill, I knew it was wrong what they were doing, but I had no idea what my course of action should be. And that has informed a lot of the poetry that I write about, and that really, really scared me to the point where when I was in high school, I had a boy who was writing me letters. His name was Ishmael. So he'd write these letters. And then soon after that, another boy started writing me letters. I freaked out because I thought, oh my goodness, if they find out that they're both writing me letters, even though I was not involved with either of them, but for me, because of that trauma when I was a child, I freaked out and I told them both to stop writing me letters because I had made a promise to myself that I will never, ever be caught with more than one boyfriend because I'm going to end up being beaten up on a rainy day, on a sports field, all muddy. And that for me was a turning point, really, Jill. So as I grew up, I had this idea of men and the things that they're capable of doing. But as I grew up, going to the salons and doing my hair and listening to the things that women would say, because the whole time I had grown up with this negative idea of men and how they do all the bad things. But listening to the stories in the salons, Jill, the things that other women were saying, the things they were getting up to, I realized that, being bad or being mean really has no gender, everyone is, whether you're a woman or male, if you're bad, you're just bad. And if you're good, you're good. And that is how that difference comes out in my second book, because then I was realizing that, actually, and then leading up to this book, which is Love Me Like I'm Yours. Love Me Like I'm Yours was inspired by the concept that as human beings, we get so used to being treated badly that the moment someone comes into our lives with something good, we question that. We want to know what's wrong with you. Why are you so good? You know, this can't be right. You're supposed to be hurting me. You're not supposed to be good to me. You know, so it's now a shock. Before, many years ago, it was a shock when people were bad to us, but now it's a shock when people are good to us. You know, so that's been the journey with regards to the 3 books.
It's amazing. One of the things that I've been fascinated with is trauma. And to me, it's so fascinating how you take an experience, but then it's right, it's shocking as a young child, but a lot of people will just repress that. A lot of people will not touch it. A lot of people will, the body is so resilient, it'll almost forget it. And instead, I feel like you saw this as material to understand human nature and to understand and you went inward, but you were looking outward with what other people were doing, and the ability that to me, you opened up inside to discover this wisdom that comes forward in this young child, but this adult woman, Blacknote, trying to help this young child understand this experience. And I wonder now today if it feels still as traumatic, or if it's been material for you to, does it come to you? How does it come to you now, I guess I should say?
Thank you for that question, Jill. It's still very traumatic, actually, because even when I read the newspapers and you see the things that are happening to women and children, it's almost like I carry it. It's almost like I knew the people. And I think because of that trauma, because it's come with me for such a long way, it's hard to detach myself. It's hard to detach myself from, you know, the injustices that happen towards women and children. And I suppose that's why even still today, I can't help but write about it, you know, because if one person takes a stand, the next person takes a stand. We're all taking a stand, because it doesn't help for us to be quiet, because at the end of the day, we're all affected by it. And so as you asked that question, Jill, I'd just like to quickly give one very short piece, if that's okay, that is also answering.
Yes.
Thank you. So that's also answering the question. And before I do that, I'd just like to acknowledge the men in our lives, the men who are out there who are good and who respect, love, and protect the women and children in their lives. To them, we say, we see you, we love you, and thank you for being there for us. And so this first poem is called The Children We Give Birth To. Dear brothers, the children we give birth to, your children, they are strong. They find hope where there is none to be found. They see light where there is only darkness, because somebody at home is waiting for them with love. The children we give birth to, they walk to school on empty stomachs, find no shame in queuing for the pap and beans so generously served out at break time, because somebody at home is waiting for them with love. They fight like cubs to protect each other when they are threatened. With pride, they wear torn shoes and tunics to school because somebody at home tried to mend them with love. Dear brothers, the children we give birth to, they know how to dream, how to paint big houses in their imaginations, how to imagine green lawns and swimming pools. They know how to dream for better days. These warriors, these conquerors, these brave hearts, they know how to dream. But do you know when they become weak? When they stop dreaming, when they stop being conquerors, when they stop seeing the silver lining in every dark cloud, when they stop hoping, believing, and fighting. It is when you kill their mothers, everything stops. everything stops. Dear brothers, do you know? And now I can't remember that last question, Jill.
I can't either, because we went to a much better place with that. And honestly, as a mother of 2 girls and 2 boys,
Yeah.
It is very hard for me in America to raise my boys. My girls are in their 30s, but I feel more for my boys. And I never thought that was going to be the case because I grew up without brothers. So I love that you acknowledged the men in the room and how important their support is in our lives. I know I don't know what the pandemic has been like for you, if this helped you write your book, that kept you inside, if it was, or if how it impacted you, or if it did, and in writing of your poetry. And is that anything that in the last couple years, would you say has made a difference?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jill. Yes, it definitely did make a difference. So I was lucky as an artist in that I have a full-time teaching job. So I teach speech and drama. So I suppose, the lockdown, it was bad, definitely, because as artists, particularly for me as a performance poet, I thrive on being in front of the audience and performing. I had a couple of performances online on Zoom, just like we're doing now. And it was so strange because you're just sitting there and you're performing to the silence. You can't see how everyone is feeling. You can't see what they're thinking. You can't hear their responses to the spoken word. So it has been very difficult, even more difficult for other artists because shows were put on hold. There were no functions. People couldn't gather. So it has definitely been a hard time, more so because, in Eswatini, we don't yet have, strong, what's the right word? Strong hold on our material, so you can't be receiving royalties from a book you wrote or from a song you released, or, you're just sitting there. So if performance is the only way to make a living as an artist, but it looks like that's going to change soon because something is happening, something is cooking. And I also got to watch more TV, Jill. So something that I wasn't doing before. So during the lockdown, I had no choice but to watch TV because I'd be reading the whole day, and then I think, let me have a look at a bit of television. And in that time, Jill, I discovered a program where young people would write to the program, and they were asking for the program to go and look for the parents or the mom or the dad who left them when they were still young. So the program would then come to the child, wherever the child is, and they would ask the child to record a message that the child would like for the program to play for the parent when they find the parent, wherever the parent is. So on many occasions, Jill, the kids would record long messages, so that the mom, because when they find the parent is supposed to be moved by that message into agreeing to come with the program to meet the child that they left, wherever they left the child many years ago. So in this one particular program, this is what inspired this next piece. So they asked the young girl, well, she wasn't young at the time, she was about, I think, 20 when they did the interview. So when they reached the part, Jill, where she had to record a message for her mom, the only thing she said, Jill, like literally the only thing she had to say for that recording was, "You should have taken me with you, Mama." And that was it. Oh my goodness, Jill, just those words I turned off the TV and I just went into a state. And I just thought, you know, so much can be said in just one sentence. And that is what inspired this next poem. You should have taken me with you, Mama. When the clock struck 5 a.m., while he slept on your white linen in his dirty boots, his dreams drowning in your tears. You should have taken me with you, Mama. When you packed your bag, stuffed your bra with the money he kept hidden in his socks, I promise, Mama, I would have fit into your bag. I was only 5 months old. And if I could speak at the time, I would have told you, Mama, that sleeping on the streets would have been like heaven for me as long as I was sleeping with you. If I could speak at the time, I would have told you, Mama, that eating crumbs from overflowing dustbins would have been like a buffet for me, as long as I was eating it with you. You should have taken me with you, Mama. And if you had taken a moment to look into my eyes as you left me there, feeding on the last bottle of warm milk I would ever drink, you would have seen, Mama, seen how much I needed you to be there and to rejoice when I took my first step, spoke my first word, how I needed your love to be the shoes I never had, how I needed your love to be the blankets I never had in the winter. If you had taken a moment, Mama, to look into my eyes, you would have seen how much I needed you to be there and to tell the world that I was just a little girl when they thought they were seeing a woman. And all that pain, Mama, it has been just that, pain without you. You should have taken me with you, Mama. Ngabe wahambana.
So powerful, so beautiful. I I was wondering where that what the inspiration was for that. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. It's the strangest thing. My youngest son he's I don't know in meters because we have that old system of feet, but he's 6'5". So he's real,
Okay.
he's a big, but he still calls me mama. And it's there's something about the sound of that touches the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah. Thank you for that, Jill. And I think, you know, this particular poem with many others is just a reflection of how it's such a pleasure for me to take other people's stories and turn them into my own and live in those stories and live and feel what they might have gone through. And that is what informs the poetry that I write. So I'm not able to write about flowers and apples and oceans and trees because I can't be them. I can't enter into what they feel and what they go through. But with human beings, I'm able to do that. And that is the greatest honor for me that I could ever ask for.
it's a true gift. And we are also grateful. I know that I am, for the ability to put something, to be able to, I think there is that someone had said something that when you speak from the heart, you can bypass the mind. And I think there is so much to that. Otherwise, we try to think our way through it.
Yeah.
And so I'm really grateful for the ability for you to be able to speak to my heart without trying. That's something that I can't access. And so it's so beautiful to be able to access with your help. So thank you.
Thank you,
I was
Jill.
curious about the dedication of this most recent book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I'm just going to go into, so the dedication, Jill, it's dedicated to Mama Lasifunza. So, you know, in our culture, when you get married, you are referred to by your surname. So if you got married to a Swazi, we would refer to you as, how would you say, a person? Can you pronounce, sorry, Jen, if I'm pronouncing that right?
No, that's fine. Apperson.
Yes, Epperson. Okay, perfect. So we'd call you La Epperson. That's how we'd refer to you. So Mama La Sifunza, because my mom's surname is Sifunza, so we refer to her as Mama La Sifunza. My mom, Jill, she has just been absolutely everything. I cannot begin to describe the things that she's had to carry, the pain she's had to carry. It's just been such a long journey for her with 3 children. So when our dad passed away, my older brother and I were in school in Pretoria, so that's in South Africa. But you know, everything fell apart. But she made sacrifices to make sure that we stayed in school and to make sure that we're able to go to university, you know, and get an education so that we can be able to stand on our own 2 feet. And for me, I think that is just the greatest sacrifice. I remember Jill coming home, you know, on holidays from boarding school, and we would be eating beans, like pap and beans, for the whole week because everything is being sacrificed for us to be at school, you know. And so she really has been an inspiration. In fact, I should have been dedicating all the books to her, but I had to. The first book particularly was, and the second were dedicated to my dad, because he really played a big role in my life, Jill. You know, he was such a, you know, he was this big figure and big presence in my life. He had a nice big pot belly, which I liked to touch, you know. And my dad was basically, Jill, one of the first people who made me believe in myself. One of the first people who told me I could do it. You know, I could be a performer and that I should be a performer. Whenever we had visitors at home, he would call me. I'd say, hey, ntombazane, buya la ntombajayive, ntombahlabelela. You know, and for me, that just planted the seed because, you know, very soon after that, I realized that there's nothing else I want to do in my life except to be a performer. You know, initially it was to be an actress, for me to be on television and be wow. But, you know, the journey sort of changed along the way. So after I graduated from TUT, I ended up going to auditions and trying to get work. So each time I got a job, Jill, I was not able to get a work permit, you know, because the things that the work permit required, because I would be working in South Africa as a freelance artist. So I wasn't able to provide the things that were required for the work permit. And I eventually gave up on that. And that's when I went into teaching because, you know, I did children's theater and educational theater at TUT. So I figured, okay, maybe I should do this instead. And the first year, Jill, of, you know, teaching as opposed to being famous was hectic for me, you know. And you know, I was teaching in a primary school, so the kids are there, you know, the whole package, the whole snorts and the fighting, like, you know, they attack each other right there. You know, you're sitting there, you're teaching, you're thinking everything is fine. Next thing, there's punches being thrown. Oh, wow. But in less than a year, Jill, you know, of working with primary school kids and seeing the difference that it was making. You know, a little girl, for instance, Jill, who at the beginning of the year, who's in grade 1, and they have no friends. She has no friends. No one speaks to her. She's lonely, you know. But because of, you know, the teamwork that has to happen in drama, the working together and, you know, creating art together, by the end of the year, she had friends. You know, she'd have friends. You know, so that it bonded the students in ways that I never myself imagined were possible, you know. And that's when my perspective changed. That's when I actually realized that maybe being famous and being this great actress It's not the deal that is for me. This is the one. This is the one. And I haven't been able to look back ever since, Jill. Teaching is just, it's the greatest joy, because you're able to mold and shape young people into becoming the best people that they can be for themselves and for the people around them. So yeah, it's that. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I wish my kids had you as their teacher. That's for sure. They'll have
Yeah.
I'm curious, when you talk about where your inspiration came for your poetry, when I'm imagining that you do ask the kids to, or help them with possibly writing with poetry. Do you give them a prompt, or is there
Yes.
something you ask them to pull from that has been something that you think you could share with
Yes.
other teachers that are listening to this?
Yeah.
Could
Okay.
potentially use as a good prompt
Yes.
that works
Definitely,
well for
Jill.
you?
Mhm. Sorry, yes. I definitely give them a prompt. And I love stories, Jill. I like Indigenous African stories. So sometimes I read them a story and they use that as their prompt. I give them music, because I am always inspired by music with some of the work that I write. I just hear one word and it's like, ping, you know. So yeah, definitely stories, music, even pictures, you know, drawings and paintings, and also personal stories where we sit in a circle and you give us the one thing that you like the most and why you like it. And just from that, children are able to draw some kind of inspiration, and they're able to write their own poetry and express themselves. And I was always pleasantly surprised at the kind of work that came out. You know, most of the time I'd just be like an emotional wreck after listening to what they write, but most of the time it was happy, and it was the best times of my life, still is even now. Yeah. And it's so now, Jill, I'm teaching in a high school. So the difference is so vast from primary school, you know, to high school, because in high school, the students already have opinions. They already know what they stand for and what they stand against. So here I'm not trying to instill, but I'm trying to just thinking of the right word. Rather trying to just to bring it out more, to bring out whatever it is that they believe in, to bring it out and to make them believe that it's okay to believe what they believe. It's okay to stand for or against the things that they believe and what they are against. So that's the big difference, you know, from primary school where you are giving, and then in high school where you are receiving and then giving back with a bit of yourself. So yeah, I think, yeah, that's the best way to describe that. Yeah.
I think that's so interesting. And so it's, I think it's so well said. I work in high school right now, coaching the girls basketball team. And I feel like it's like you said, you want them to have the ability to be able to, conformity is such a common thing among these young women. And it almost is more important than their own voice. And so I think you're right, for them to possibly even be able to have that, even pause for a moment, that they might not, they're just following along, as opposed to being that maybe that isn't really how they're feeling is. So what a great opportunity for them.
Definitely. Yes.
Can you give us another one? What's another one that you, they're all,
Yes, I've got lots.
I related to old girls, just so you know.
Okay. Oh,
But
yes.
no, you give us the one you want.
Yes, I'll definitely do that. You know, as you're saying about all girls, I'm thinking, I didn't memorize that one. So because I always prefer like just to perform them as opposed to reading them. So, but yes, I'm glad you have a favorite on that one. I'm just trying to take a second to think which one. All right, just 1 second. Okay, so this one I'm going to do Okay, I'll go right into it because most of them I can't remember the titles, strangely. I remember all those words, but not the title. But anyway, works out just fine. So this one is actually one of an older piece that was in I think it was in Mountains of Sentiments, if that's okay. So I'm just going to mix it up a little bit. So this one is, here goes rather, as opposed to this one is called. Many songs have been written and sung, poems written and recited, like rain they come and go, like a memory they fade. So console me if my story breaks your heart. Hold me if my story is just like yours. He walks through the door empty-handed, holds me like it is the last, kisses me like it is the last. A strong sense of poverty catches my senses as he holds me. I want to tell him of my hunger, why the children are not at school, why there's no water and no electricity. I just want to ask him if he found a job today, but I don't. Instead, I kiss him. He holds me in the middle of the night. All we have to keep warm is each other. And then he wakes me in the middle of the night to tell me of a dream he had, the one about a mountain on the hills, surrounded by orchards, the house where he feeds, nourishes, and protects his children. He has told me this dream 100 times before. I want to tell him this, but I don't. Instead, I kiss him. My children ask me every day, Mommy, how can you stand Daddy being so poor? I say to my children, I love your daddy, and your daddy loves me. Many times I've wanted to tell him this, but I don't. Instead, I kiss him. And so I think while we're at that, I'm just going to perform another favorite of mine. Here goes, I'm just going to run with it. I am Swazi like that. And no matter where I go in this world, nothing can compare to where I come from. Because you see, where I come from, it's all right if you do not know my first name, the one I carried for the first 12 years of my life, Bonsile. It's all right if you do not know my nickname, the one that also doubles up as my stage name. Oh, but I tell you, it's a downright dirty crime if you do not know my surname. Where I come from, your surname is what defines you. Your surname is what defines you when you get married, more so if you marry into polygamy. Where I come from, your surname is like the tool of seduction. The man or woman who can sing the praise song that goes with your surname is a keeper. Where I come from, your surname is what defines your forefathers, who they loved, where they lived, who they spoke to, and who they respected. Oh, where I come from, I am Ngumayo Ndwandwe, wena wasekudu Nkomo, Nkhabanhle Nkhabaya Nkosi, wena wendungoyo, wena wembuzi nethoye, wena ungaphoci umuntu bayakusukela, and I'm all right with that. Because you see, no matter where I go in this world, nothing can compare to where I come from. Because where I come from, it's all right if you do not know my first name. It's all right if you do not know my nickname, but it's a downright dirty crime if you do not know my surname. Okay, I'll leave it there for now. That was fun.
Oh, I love that.
Smiling. Hi, Fiona and family. Good to see you guys. Thanks, Jill.
Yeah, so many people here enjoying. I loved that. Oh,
You seem at loss for words, Jill. You doing all right?
what? I'm not usually at a loss for words, but if I'm going to be here with you, I'm going to let you have all the words because yes. So yeah, they touch me. I don't know what to say. And that's the truth. I just need, they need to just like soak in and yeah. And my mind wants to make sense of it. And I think that that's what I love so much about it is that it's it's not the outside first, it comes to the inside, and then I love it. It's just so beautiful. But I also just revel in how these are universal themes, and it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter the country or the language, although your language is so beautiful. And I remember that working at the embassy in Mbabane, they gave us language training, and I thought, this is the most beautiful language, and it's also going to be the hardest language that I've ever studied. But I
Happy to hear that.
And then I noticed that you did some in Siswati in the book. Like the last 3, you did have some, right? I think that is just so amazing. I want to be really conscious of time too. So I love that. If you have others, I don't know if we wanted to have question and answer time. And so, and I also didn't even ask you, but I kind of put it down for an hour. Are you still good with that? So we have like 15 more minutes or so.
Oh yeah, I'm good with that. I'm on holiday, so I could be here all day.
Okay,
Definitely. So I think maybe Jill, if that's okay, I'd like to do one of the Siswati pieces before we go into a question and answer session. I'm seeing so many people that I know in the chat. Thank you so much, Bondwando. It's nice to see you. Okay, so this one I'm going to do is one of the Siswati pieces. So I'm just going to quickly maybe just give a brief, because it's not translated in the book. So this one is just about a young girl, Jill, who left home many years ago, and she went to the big city where she was met by so many different things. But so now her family is waiting for her at home. And we realize at the end of the poem that they're not actually waiting for her, they are waiting for her body. Because she's gone. So that's basically what this piece is about. It's just about this girl's journey and how she leaves home but never returns. Yeah, okay. So here goes, last but not least. Treshisa Duduzile, bagumele ekhaya. Tingubo takho setemukeliswe tintsandzane. Emaphupho akho bawashiye emakhateni sekayawuhlala sala adliwa dihlakaniphi. Sheshisa Duduzile, bakumele ekhaya. Bathi wahamba lokwa usenematinyo. Emehlo akho akhatitela kwangathi wemukele ematofolax. Tidfo takho tesuthi indengane yagogo. Bathi wahamba walumula luswane lakho wangathi likugwazile. Wakhohlwa netingubo takho temhlambiso wemnakeno. Sheshisa Duduzile, bakumele ekhaya. Walikhanza lidolobha likumele nemanga alo. Emandi anjaza etimbombini. Bontsanga yakho bagcoke tibuko temehlo etinhloko. Emajaha alengise emabhuluko ngaphansi kwetibunu. Washo wathi, naba-ke bantu sibili. Wathanza Duduzile. Wathanza indvodza lenganamphefumulo. Leseyatalisa batukulu bemakhehla. Lenganalo nelilawu ekabo. Sheshisa Duduzile, bakumele ekhaya.
This one, Jenny,
Wathanza Duduzile, wathanza kwangathi awunabo bakini. Yakuvalela indvodza, yakufundzisa tindlela tebucili. Yakutsengisa, yakulumisa ngemajabhane. Wena solo uthi luthando. Sheshisa ngosatana, bakumele ekhaya. Bahle tikagogo bembethe tingubo. Bogalaza bayashisa, omakoti baphekile, bafundisi bagcwele lithende. Labakhulumela umndeni sebayatamula. Bafukamile Duduzile, bafukamele wena. Sheshisa ngosatana, buyela ekhaya. Thank you.
I don't want you to stop. I,
Thank
and
you
you
so
have a
much,
whole,
Jill.
you have a whole audience here. I don't
Yeah.
know if anybody wants to take themselves off mic and speak or ask for another, have any questions, or maybe someone has a favorite. I don't know if you're willing to. We always have an encore.
Yes,
So
definitely, definitely. I'm here for that,
so
Jill.
don't be
I'm here
shy.
for that.
Don't be
Yes.
shy. But I'm not like, I have everyone can take themselves off if they want to speak. And then we do have your contact information in the chat for your Instagram and Facebook. And yeah.
I'm definitely open to questions. And, you know, as people are thinking of questions, I'm happy to do one more.
Yes, please.
Okay. Unless there's a question. All right. Sorry. Okay. Many rivers to cross, many songs to sing, flowers to receive, but they cannot protect us. Mama, stop us before we learn how to kill. We are Nomasondo, Bugiwe, Sheila, Amanda. We are the ones whose graves are marked by love's tears, labeled domestic affairs, matters of the heart. We are the ones whose violent partners were let out on bail. We are the ones who left behind motherless children so that our murderers can have someone to say sorry to with a loaf of bread. We are the ones who listened when they said silence is golden. We are silent now. Give us our gold. Many rivers to cross, but we cannot find our way home because we are waiting for you to tell us what went through your minds before you shot us, before you stabbed us, before you hung us, before you burnt us, before you poisoned us. Did you not hear our cries as our blood stained your anger? Did you not hear our cries as we screamed, don't kill me, stop, I love you, I will stay? What went through your minds? Did you not hear those final words of defeat? Were we not loud enough for you? Were we not terrified enough for you? And if you had heard us, would you have stopped? Would we still be alive, still loving you under duress? Many rivers to cross, many songs to sing, records to buy and flowers to receive, but they cannot protect us. Mama, stop us before we learn how to kill.
That was in the most recent book, I think, right?
Yes, that is definitely Love Me Like I'm Yours. Yeah.
That's the title of the book, and that poem is called, was that poem called? Was that one?
No, so that one, whoops, Jill, you're putting me in the spotlight. Now they know I can't remember the titles of my poems. So no, Jill, that's not Love Me Like I'm Yours. Love Me Like I'm Yours, I have not performed that one yet. So that one was called Broken Tunes. That was Broken Tunes.
Broken Dreams, yeah.
Yeah, yes.
So I got here a little bit late. I just got back into self-service, and I'm so happy to have been tagged on your Facebook. Thank you. Thank you for the jump in on the end, but that was a moment. And if I could ask for one more since I got here late.
Mari, hi. Okay, all right, Jill, should we give Mari a poem? Yes, I think, yes.
She asked so nicely.
Okay,
and I
yes,
think everyone else in here would be so happy that she asked. Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm going to perform now the main poem, which is Love Me Like I'm Yours in the book. here, over here, love me like I'm yours. So this is the main poem. No, actually, I want to do another one before that. If that's okay, I'm just having a look very quickly. Just 1 second. I'd like you to read, Jill, Taking My Time. So this one is also sort of close to Love Me Like I'm Yours. Here goes. So Taking My Time. I let you go exactly 5 times before I actually let you go. And each time you came back to me, pieces of you were missing. Each time you came back to me, I blamed myself for letting you go in the first place. It felt like rain when you touched me. The first time I let you go was because you asked me what I wanted. And I said, just to be friends, when really what I wanted was you, because it felt like rain when you touched me. The next time I let you go was because you found someone who wanted to mother your child. But when those responsibilities began to burn holes through the soles of your adventurous shoes, you came back to me. And it felt like rain when you touched me. The next time I let you go was because I found out that you were reaching out to an old flame. I wanted to know what I was doing wrong, what I was saying wrong. I wanted to know why I was not enough. But you came back. Oh, and it still felt like rain when you touched me. The next time I let you go was because you lost everything and because I had nothing to give. So you found someone who was willing to give you everything, but that tore you apart, burned you from the inside out. You came back to me. And I wanted to heal you. I wanted to heal the parts of you that were mine, the parts of you that belonged to me, the parts of you that turned our anger into eggs and cheese the morning after. Somehow, it still felt like rain when you touched me. The next time, the last time I let you go was because I finally had everything. And because I knew that you were about to find another reason to leave, so I gave you nothing. Not my time, not my soul. I gave you nothing, and it felt so good. It felt so good to finally let you go. But it felt like rain when you touched me. Hey, Jill, coming back to you.
Now I totally get why we need you to read these.
Yeah,
They lift off the page when you speak them.
Yes, it's a big difference, Jill. You know, I'm just thinking about my editor. She had such a hard time editing the pieces because they are written for performance. You know, they're not really meant to be great literary works. So she really struggled with editing this book, but she did it. So yeah, very grateful. Yeah.
Are you going to do another CD?
Yes, is that from Mari? Yes,
Yeah.
Mari, I'd love to do another CD. So with this book launch, Mari, I sort of put it together with my birthday because it was on the 28th. I know that's your birthday too, Mari. Us Capricorns, that's how we roll. Yay. So I put the launch together with that. Now it's turning 38. So maybe, Mari, I could record an album for when I turn 40 and we can launch that on the 28th when I turn 40 in 2 years' time. Yeah.
I know that the CD that I took home with me when we came back to the States was something that my son and I listened to a lot. And it was something that he even loved and really felt connected with. And he just really felt it connected him to the place. And he loved the song and the sound of your voice and the way that you spoke. And for me, it was also very special. But the way you speak your poems really does really bring an extra added life. I mean, the words are beautiful, but hearing you speak them is really powerful.
Thank you, Mari. That is just so, thank you, Mari. I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you.
And thank you for your work.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a question typed in the chat and it says, please tell us from Ready Mouse. And it says, please tell us what inspired the poem I Am Yours on page 33.
Okay, going to page 33. I am yours. Okay, so basically, I am yours. That is just I've put down the names of the people that mean the world to me. So that's just people who have been there for me, who have seen me through, who have watched me grow through so many situations. So the first one there is Tandi, that's my mom. Then that's my brother. And then Sibusiso, also my brother. There's quite a few. There's who else is here? There's Sispilile, there's Mehluli. So what inspired that is that I wanted to say to these people, because the book is called Love Me Like I'm Yours, I just wanted to say to them that I am yours, you know, because you have always been for me, I'm also for you, like no matter what. You know, I even have my some of my nieces there. I can see I've got Balebe Suthu. She's also on there. Most wonderful, wonderful. That's my brother Spusiso's daughter. Yeah, quite a few people. So thank you for that question from Mouse. So yeah, that's what inspired that. And also, oh yeah, Jill, Mouse is actually my younger sister, the last born from my mom. So we call her Mouse because she's like always sneaking around, like, you know, in little corners. She's the most amazing person. But yeah, thanks for that question, Mouse. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's so close
Okay.
to
Yes,
hour.
it is close. Yeah. Yeah. I suppose maybe before you close, Jill, on my part, is just to say thank you for this opportunity, Jill, mostly for the people who I'm seeing here who are not able to attend the book launch. So I'm so happy that you were able to be with us this morning. I'm so honored, like I have no words to express my gratitude to everyone. It's just been such a long journey. It's, yeah, you know, and one of the reasons actually, Jill, that I found myself getting involved with performance poetry was because I needed to make pocket money when I was in university, you know, because my brother and I were just barely surviving. So he had a job where he was teaching computers in one of the high schools in Pretoria. And so I also needed to find something. So a friend of mine came up to me and said, hey, take your poetry. There's a poetry session happening in one of the pubs in Pretoria. So I took my book and I read 3 of my poems there. And the guys came up to me after that and they said, hey, there's another session happening in Joburg. We're going to pay you $500. I thought, what? Like $500? Okay, it's not much now, but then, Jill, it was gold. You know, that was my first paying gig. That $500. And an interesting thing there, Jill, is that I didn't have the money to get to Joburg on that weekend, on that Saturday. So I went, Jill, and I got onto a taxi, you know, all the way to Johannesburg. I think at the time it was 25 Rand from Pretoria to Johannesburg. I sat there, Jill, and when it was time to collect the money, so everyone sort of passes the money to everyone and the money gets to the driver. The guy sitting next to me sort of nudged me on the money, bring the money. And I looked at him and I said, I don't have it. Till, you know, till this day, I ask myself, how silly was I? Because they could have just stopped in the middle of nowhere and they could have just kicked me out of the Kumbi. But the thing is, I needed the money. I needed to get to Joburg. And that was the only way. I think this man, you know, whoever he was at the time, he took out his own money again, and then he paid my fare. And I think, Jill, it's people like that that make a difference in our lives. You know, people, he didn't care to ask me, like, why are you doing this? Why are you being so silly? Why are you here without money? He didn't ask any questions. He just paid my fare. And that was it, you know. And it's moments like that, Jill, which also includes, you know, what Mouse was asking about, where she says, I'm yours. these people have done those kinds of things for me when I least expected it. They've been there for me when I didn't think anyone would be, and I think, Jill, like after fighting for so long and trying to get things right and, trying to have bread on the table, it makes you hard. Those kinds of experiences make you hard. They make you don't trust people. So when people come in, strangers come in with the smallest gesture of kindness, wow. And I try to make sure that wherever I am, be it the petrol attendant or the person who's checking out my groceries, to leave a little something, could be 5 Rand, it could be 10 Rand. It makes a difference to someone. You never know what people are going through, and I think I'm able to do that because I had a moment, because I had a moment when I needed someone to be there. Yeah. Okay, I think that answers that one.
But you're so beautiful and not in that bravery and the courage, and to know that you are putting that one foot in front of the other with the goodness to bring it forward and not letting life get you down. Because I think that is something that is, when you talked about when you jumped into that water hole and your brothers pulled you out and you couldn't feel the ground underneath you. I think that it's that reaching out that hand for one another, and those small kindnesses. Well, that was a big kindness because that saved your life. But the little things, everything from the big to the little, brings us to the next moment in a good way, in a better way, as opposed to, like you said, something painful or violent. So all these notes are coming in about starting off Monday on a good note. I love they're so inspiring. I love you, sister. So many beautiful tributes, and definitely we're all fans and grateful for your work and your sharing. And I'm happy to be able to share it in the app with all the teachers around the world. We're in like 12 countries now, and we'll continue to grow. And then the books, we wanted to let people know, you were saying that they've been spoken for, the last few that you have in print, but there's more coming. And any other last words for us?
Okay, thank you, Jill. And yes, thank you for that update as well. So the books were mostly sold out at the book launch. So the few that I do still have, some people have ordered them, so they've been spoken for. But we are hoping to go back into print again. So hopefully anyone who would like a copy will be able to sort that out. You can reach me in the emails that are on the chat. But yes, I think it's that. And from my part, is just to say, thank you, Jill. You reached out to me and you offered to do this interview, and I'm just so honored, and I suppose, Jill, it's what you have done is one of those things that make the world of a difference, and I did not expect this. So thank you, Jill. Really, I appreciate it like so much. And I was listening to Notando's journey and the narration and the work that we did there on that together. And I just like to encourage those who are here now, if you have young children, please go and search for Notando's journey. You'll love it. It's just an amazing journey about a Swazi girl who is on her way to attend the Reed dance. So thank you so much, Jill. And thank you to everyone who's here. Like, all my love goes out to you. I'm so happy, so happy. Yeah.
And I'll let you know, I recorded this, so I will share it with you.
Okay.
So share it with everybody here as well.
Okay.
And we will make sure that I get it to you with my tech skills. It'll be a day or two, but I will get it to you, and then we'll be able to share it. All right.
Okay.
Have a beautiful, beautiful day. And 2022, what a beautiful way to start. So
yeah.
You.
Thank you.
everyone.
Nice. Okay, Jill, someone is asking for one last poem as we say our goodbyes, as we say goodbye.
Oh yeah, that's lovely.
Okay.
I put my glasses on to read the chat. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, I think so as everyone is leaving, yes, I'll let you go out with this one. So this is "Thee Love Me Like I'm Yours." Okay, so yeah, and finally, "Love Me Like I'm Yours." I stood with you inside a moment where all my insecurities were painted in neon colors. I closed my eyes and crossed my fingers and hoped that you were blind, but you were not. You read each and every one of them. Then you kissed them right back into me. One by one, they piled up, inflating me, blowing me up, and just before they burst into oblivion, you kissed them right out. My insecurities, suddenly now our insecurities. Where have you been all my life? I stood with you inside a moment, ready to give you all the lies that everybody said would keep you. But for each and every one of my lies, you gave me your truth. What's wrong with you? Why are you so real? Why are you so perfect? Why are you so perfect? Because perfect is exactly what I need, exactly what I deserve. What's wrong with you? Get with the program. Be nasty, be rude, ignore me, be egotistical. For the life of me, just hurt me. It's the only thing I know. Just hurt me. And if that's not good enough for you, then go ahead. Go ahead and love me like I'm yours.
Mm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Fiona. Oh, bye. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Mari. Thank you. Thank you, Fiona and family. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Very interesting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. So nice seeing you. Thank you.
Questions, but I see we have.
Oh, it's okay. You can ask because me and Jill are still here.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we love poetry, and we love poetry in particular. And we wanted to find out how has literature and poetry changed your life?
Jill, I don't know if you got that question. I didn't quite get it properly.
And let me see if I can mute others.
Okay.
Hang on. So Fiona and family, can you ask the question again?
Oh, yes. Sorry about that. I was saying,
excuse me.
We love literature and poetry, and particularly, and we wanted to find out how has literature and poetry in particular, impacted your life.
Okay, I hope I'm getting it right. Okay, so for me, I think you're asking about literature in general and poetry. So, I have a thing. I love to read poetry and other poets in general. But to be honest, I just still prefer my own poetry, mostly because I just feel like in the sense that when it comes to performance, so I'm not able to perform other people's poems. I'm able to read them and appreciate them, but I'm not able to perform them. So I only perform the poems, poems that I have written. So yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Okay, yes, okay, thank you. And definitely I love literature and novels. I'm always reading all the time. So yeah, definitely. And I think that also does help with my own writing because I read so much. Yeah, okay.
Also, I noticed that you went with imagery mostly, and I love that. And I wanted to ask, why did you choose to go with imagery, instead of maybe satire, to be social injustices?
Yeah.
And
I'm so sorry. Yes. Okay, so for me personally, the reason that imagery plays a big role is because I always try to make sure that when I write a poem, it's clear and it's simple so that anyone who listens or reads the poem is not lost. So they don't find themselves thinking, I wonder what she meant by that. So I think you'll notice when you receive your copy of the book, because I know you've ordered one, is that the poems are simple. Even Zizwe and Ian there are going to be able to understand the poetry. So I think for me, that's what I strive for. So I don't look at all the rules of written word. So I don't look at, your alliterations, your personifications and all those things. If they do come in, they just come in by chance. But generally, I prefer to keep my poetry simple and to the point so that anyone can be able to understand what I'm saying. So the aim is not to confuse people or to be deep, or the aim is just to be heard. Yeah.
That was a really great question, because I think that's
Yeah.
true. Often with it's you're left sitting to analyze it. And what's so beautiful about yours is you're not left thinking, what did she mean by that? It's really, how does it speak to me? And I think that that's such a
Yes.
good point with that you make. It's so true.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Jill. And thank you for that question. Thank you. Okay.
We are also on holiday, so here all day.
I can see you guys just don't want to leave this meeting. Okay.
Is it holiday for you guys? Are you guys not in school? What is today? New Year's Day, or you have a section off because it's summer for you, right?
Yeah, we are. So I think so Fiona is also a teacher. So we're both on holiday because schools are closed for us. Yeah, but yeah. Thank you. But I think, guys, we need to let Jill go to bed because it's the middle of the night for her, where she is. I'm sure it's, probably going for just after 11, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you so much, Jill.
It was worth it, though. Thank you so much. All right. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Speak to you soon.
Okay. All right. Goodbye.
Thank you, Jill.
Good night.
Bye. Bye.